Hey all, hello and welcome, Tony Bing here. Now, I'll be having a second look at Ironman. I did look at him in the first TC, but a lot has changed since then. I've actually had a lot of requests as well to have a look at him since his changes, and one thing that kind of reinforces how much it's worth having a second look at him is whenever a skill changes, I put it on my bar at the bottom so I can fire it off during my walkthrough, and as we can see, we're using 7 out of the 8 bars here, so we'll get 7 options at a minimum that have changed here, so that's great. So let's start off with energy beams and see all these goodies he's now got. So straight away when we're looking at his trees, first skill has changed, so that's Pulse Bolt, which has moved from a spender into an actual basic attack. Now I'm not 100% sure if the animation's changed. I can't remember if he used to put out both hands when he fired that or fire one out from each hand, but I'll show the animation quickly anyway. As we can see, our spirit's not gone down because it's now got the basic tag. So next up we then have micro missiles, which is just really the same there. It's firing out all these various missiles, and you can actually gain charges on it, and I believe when we look at talents you can put the charges even higher, which means you can get a whole lot of burst from it. We'll actually activate them just so you can see them all fire off. There we go, that's a not bad amount, and as I say, I'm pretty sure you can add an additional charge to it as well. So for the next skill we've got Unibeam. This looks the same, but once we get to talents this has been changed, and I think it's a change that a lot of people are really happy about, but we'll discuss that in just a moment. Before doing that we'll look at Repulsor Blast. So this used to be his basic and it's now moved to his spender, which as far as I'm aware a lot of people are really happy about, because it's a more iconic kind of Iron Man move. I know certainly I'm not a massive Iron Man buff, but for me this seems iconic, the kind of firing the repulsors out of each of his hands. So with this you get a damage bonus of 25% if you have more than 50% of your max suit power, so it's really going to benefit the builds that have got a huge ton of suit power and don't drop below that 50% there. So I'll show you the animation, you've seen it before, but we've now got our suit power going down as it's a spender. For me that is a lot more iconic than our last spender we had. Right, so next up we have Channeled Repulsors. This is just the same as before, so we'll move on to the next skill. And then we have Wrist Rocket, again same as before, ranged area, missile, burning, we've all seen that before. And then we still do have Repulsor Barrage, so it's good that for people that maybe preferred that, that's still in the kit there, so you can still use it over Repulsor Blast if you prefer. Now for Jericho Bombardment, this has changed, so it's an instant cast. Before there was a bit of a delay, now it's instant. It has got a cooldown, but also the damage on it has been buffed up, so we'll fire it off and you'll see, ready, 1, 2, 3, there we go, straight away it's coming in, which is great, because before sometimes you'd cast it and by the time it came down the enemy had already moved. We'll do it one more time actually. There we go. That's the way it should be if you're calling in missiles. It should be firing down straight away, no delays. Now with the one-off, it now has invulnerability while you're activating it, which is brilliant, because I think a lot of people had trouble in that they would fire it off a bit similar to Doom's sorcery signature, in that you're kind of firing it off and the number of times you would get one-shotted while doing that. But it really was a bit crazy, but that's now been solved. You've got invulnerability, which is brilliant, and it's got a low cooldown on it as well, so that's really quite nice. Now we'll look at defence systems. I don't believe a lot has changed here at all. We have got one new skill down the bottom. Well, I'm sure it's a spoiler, I shouldn't be doing that yet. But let's look at this section anyways. This is defence systems. So starting off here we have Hyper Velocity Charge, which is just his regular dash, and it's buffing the attack and move speed as well there by 10%. Then we have, I'm not sure how you say this, it's possibly Voltaic Punch, and this is doing damage. It's 1% for each 1% of missing suit power, and that's just a basic. And then we have the Arc Reactor Overload, and from reading the patch notes, I believe the cooldown on it's been reduced. I can't remember what it was, but it's now 10 seconds, which is pretty good. And then you have Jet Assisted Slam. This will provide you with a weaken. And then you have Death from Above, which is doing your knockdown. You have Coolant Blast, which is doing your slow and freeze. And then we have Jet Thrust Punch, and that now has an additional critical hit chance of 10%, so that's really nice. And then the move I spoiled a moment ago, we've got Repulsor Spray, so I'll actually show you that. So that's overcharge your repulsors, firing them in an erratic pattern that strikes all enemies in large area in front of you. And there we go, there it is there. Pretty simple looking animation. You can actually change that through talents, so it does look nicer. So talking of talents, let's have a look at them. Okay, so first off we'll look at the traits. Now offensive trait is Arc Reactor, and that's doing 3% of your max suit your suit power as additional damage. At the moment I've not got a great deal, so I'm doing 56.8. The archetype is Warden, so that's giving you a bonus to strength or intelligence attributes. For the defensive trait we have Adaptive Armour, which once you hit below a certain point you start regaining 219 health per second. Your archetype is Tough, which is giving you a multiplier to defense and deflect, and if you choose to go melee with them you've also got that 8% damage reduction there as well. So talent wise we start off with Missile Targeting. So with this, when you hit with a power, automatic missiles, I think that's the same as the last test center iteration there. And then you have Unstable Core, so when you hit an enemy, trigger a minor Arc Reactor overload, restoring 20% of your maximum suit power. Again, same as the last iteration, and then this is the same as well. So it's overclocking, and Arc Reactor's damage bonus is increased by 100%, damage rating 840. Now out of these three options, I think this is really the no-brainer here. We'll activate it, and you can see it changes to 6% of your max suit power now, so people that are really able to stack the suit power should get great results out of that. Now for talent line number 2 we have Reactive Armour. So this is defense rating 600. When you get hit by an enemy you absorb damage, and it takes a set amount of suit power to actually do it. Duration is 5 seconds and the cooldown is also 5 seconds. Now next up we have Repulsor Barrage, which transforms into System Shock. So System Shock discharges electrical current from your suit to shock and stun enemies. We'll activate this. There we go, we can see that changing. This very much for me screams out kind of Star Wars and Sith. There we go. It's not bad, I'm not blown away by it, but it's something different, and as I say, it kind of makes me more think of Star Wars rather than anything else. So next up we have Extremis Healing Nanites. So health regenerated, and your max suit power comes down by 50 in order to compensate for that. And Arc Reactor Overload would apply rapid healing buff to all your allies, so that could be nice in group situations. Now for talent tree number 3 we have Upgrade Orbital Interface. So Jericho Bombardment, which is down here, transforms into Satellite Strike, and this is good. Satellite Strike deals energy damage instead of physical, always critically hits, and occasionally fires a targeted strike when you deal damage to enemies. So we'll select it, and I'll show you the targeted strike portion of it first. There we go, we can see the lightning bolts calling in at a not bad frequency really. I'm saying that they're going to stop now, of course. Now there you go, that's not too bad at all. And we'll do Jericho Bombardment, or Orbital Strike as it now is. There we go. I do like that, so if people want to go physical and energy, they have got the option there. Options, 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 that's what it's all about really. Give people more choice and that keeps them happy. So next up we've got Upgrade Missile Payloads. So with this, missile power damage goes up by 10%, and Micro Missiles gains an extra charge. So we'll activate it, and you'll see me fire off all these charges. This will be good for burst damage. There we go. Really was quite a lot of missiles firing off there. If you also paired that up with this, as much as it doesn't seem like it'll be as good as the third trait, it'd be great to see all the missiles just firing everywhere all over the screen. Now for the third talent in this particular line, you've got Upgrade Non-Lethal Systems. So Repulsor Spray transforms into Sonic Shockwave, and Sonic Shockwave deals additional damage over time. And Coolant Blast has a cooldown and causes enemies to take 50% more damage from your next jet assisted slam or death from above. There we go, we can see it changing, and here it is here. Actually looks like one of Quake's moves really. So let's look at talent line number 4 now. We've got Upgrade Targeting Computer, and Repulsor Blast transforms into Missile Salvo. So we'll click it. There we go. Oh, let's try that again, sorry. There we go, this one here. Apologies for that, there we go. You can see that's now changed. So that gives you the option, if you want, you can use this, but you can also use that as well. So that's different from the last iteration. And Missile Salvo continuously fires missiles at targets in front of you, and Micro Missiles gains the following effects. It would fire more projectiles there as well. Let's actually put the two of these together to see how they look. Right, let's see, we've got all our charges. Yeah, that was a whole lot of damage going off there, you could see. Alright, so let's look at the second option in this talent line now. You've got Upgrade Armour Hydraulics, so Jet Assisted Slam, is doing additional damage. It gains 4-second cooldown. Death from above gains the following effects: total damage 50%, cooldown 4 seconds, and melee power damage goes up by 10% with a 4-second buff on that. Final option in this tree is upgrade micro lasers. So this takes channeled repulsors and transforms them into micro lasers, and micro lasers deal more damage, has a cooldown, and can only be channeled for a short duration. This also brings down the cooldown on the one-off. So you're looking at the one-off with a 15-second cooldown, which is really low. It looks like they've got a few heroes that can do that now. I know Vision with certain setups can do that, and Hawkeye can actually choose to have his signature going off every 15 seconds as well. But let's look at the micro lasers. It's a nice animation for it. I should have held that down rather than just tap it. I'll give it a few seconds and I'll hold it down in this way you can see it properly. There we go. Looks nice. Right, we're almost there. Now, for the last line, we have upgrade repulsors. So, repulsor and micro laser damage is increased by 10%, and this is one I think people will love. Unibeam deals more damage, has a cooldown, fires instantly, gains execute, damage bonus effect, and hits in a much wider area. Now, the actual animation on it is still being worked on, but I'll click it just so you can see how responsive it is. So, let's just imagine we're doing a rotation, and there you go. And that's great. It's such an iconic move. It's great to see that we can throw it into a simple rotation, and I can't imagine what it will look like, because that looks nice, but once they increase the kind of how wide it is even more, it will look fantastic. So next up in this line we have upgrade arc reactor. So it's max suit power 150, and arc reactor overload gains the following effects. The power radius on it goes up by 50% there. And then finally we have something that kind of ties in with War Machine. You've got upgrade jet thrusters. With this, your melee powers generate heat. Well above a certain amount of heat, your melee powers will deal more damage, and at 100% heat you become overheated, gaining kind of more buffs for your melee there overall. So definitely very interesting. It was a lot to run through, and there's a lot of options opened up. I really love the repulsor blast being a main spender, and I love the idea of having Unibeam. It's just they're two such iconic kind of skills, and now we can have them in a rotation, which is fantastic. So I hope you guys that requested this particular video enjoyed it, and I'll see you all again soon for the next video.